Episode 17, Unmuzzled Sports Podcast. I'm Gary Ray. Tonight we got an amazing show, lots to talk about. Marner returns to Scotiabank Arena for the first time since he's been Golden Knight. McDavid's on quite the heater. We've got Indiana wins the Natty, taking down Miami, right in Miami's backyard. The Patriots are off to the Super Bowl. Nobody wants to see them in the Super Bowl again. And the Seahawks win a thriller in Seattle. The Warriors take down the Legionnaires on Thursday night. The Lincolns down the Siskins. Talk about the Maroons losing to the Stars and the Stars losing to the Rockets. And then in chew on that, we'll wrap it up our January You Matter campaign, talking about mental wellness with Graffer. All that and more on episode 17 of Unmuzzled Sports Podcast.
6 guys, 3 sports, no leash. This is the Unmuzzled Sports Podcast. Football, hockey, and baseball, the way it's meant to be. Loud, raw, and completely unfiltered.
All right, gentlemen, we got Ian Shank and Brian Hawley. Fellas, how was the weekend?
It was good. Full of minor hockey again, but I tell you, some great TV time too, and a lot of great games.
Yeah, are you glad to be back in this minus 20 weather, Shanker, from being in plus 30 there last week?
Well, maybe not the weather, but the sports and the access to everything. Yeah, I'm glad I'm back.
Nice. How about you, Halser? How was your weekend?
Yeah, good weekend. Same here. A lot of TV. I got to see a good Irish game Saturday night, and Saturday morning took my folks and to the airport, so they're heading on a cruise. At least somebody's got it figured out, get away from this weather. So yeah, it was a nice sunny day Saturday. Actually, as cold as it was Saturday, it was a nice sunny day. Roads, once you left Stratford area, were fine. So it just felt like a nice day to be out and about with all the storms and the weather and such. So yeah, good weekend.
Yeah, at least we're not in Toronto with that weather.
Well, yeah, my youngest daughter, Courtney's in downtown Toronto. And I said, are you getting as much snow as they were expecting? And she goes, oh, yeah. So just looking on the news of them having to dig themselves out of things. But
I love the news saying, hey, don't park on the street. Have you ever been to Toronto? Don't park on the street. There's more cars on the street than there are people living in Stratford.
Yeah, there's not too many places to park there. Okay, let's get into it. Trending. Mitch Marner comes back to Scotiabank Arena on Friday night. First time there since becoming a Golden Knight last summer. Played 9 seasons with the Leafs, 7th all-time regular season points with 741 points. He was booed at the beginning of warm-ups and every time he touched the puck, but the crowd was kind of half and half, I thought, when they gave him the video tribute. Where do you guys stand with that? Would you have been booing or would you have been cheering, Halser?
Well, I think it was appropriate for Leaf fans where you're pissed off that he left and everybody gets that. And whether you're pissed off at the player or pissed off at the business or just as a Leaf fan, generally pissed off, then you don't want talent like that leaving, right? I mean, you see, he's gonna have a good year in Vegas. He's going to have a good career in Vegas. He's probably going to win at least one Stanley Cup, whether he helps that team or not. He can be a peripheral player on that team and have, other guys on that roster carry him to a Stanley Cup very easily any given year down there. So having said that, 700 points, had a few good seasons, led him in scoring. So, it was worth the applause for the effort that he put in over those years and, cheer him for the regular season and boo him for the playoffs. I thought it was an appropriate response.
What about you, Shanker? If you were at the game like Graffer was, what would you have been doing?
I would have booed him, but then you have to you just boo him because he left, right? You're mad because he left your team. I'd be mad if my star player left. But then during that little ceremony they had on the Jumbotron, you got to give him a standing ovation. So it's good for him. He had to do what was best for him and his well-being, and not being in Toronto is going to help him generously. And he has 52 points on the year already. So it's a good move so far.
Yeah, he's definitely all-world talent. Nobody can debate that. Where I have a problem with him is that he had one foot out the door that whole last season and wanted to try and make it look like he was going to stay in Toronto, maybe if they won a cup or went deep in the playoffs. But in reality, it got to the point where I think for mental reasons, and we're going to talk about that in Graffers Chew on that segment, but I was reading an article today. It's been reported Elliot Friedman has an article that came out that said after he signed his 6-year extension way back in 2019, apparently he became hypersensitive to what was being said about him on social media. And I guess guys in the dressing room, management told him, like, you need to get rid of these apps and stop reading what people are putting on, like the keyboard trolls. And Friedman reporting, if the report is true, it didn't sit well with him. And then with him being from Toronto, his family and friends were relaying things being said about him on social media, and that would have to take a toll. And so my beef is that he could have allowed Toronto to get something for him, and he earned the right to become a UFA. I'm not debating that, but it's not black and white. His wife was pregnant. He didn't want to move away when they were expecting their first child. I get all of that, but they could have had many guys for him. And unfortunately, he chose to pretend that he was going to re-sign with Toronto, refused to waive his no trade clause. I believe it was Carolina with Rantanen was going to come back to Toronto once he made it known that he wasn't going to stay in Carolina after Colorado traded him there. And it's just frustrating that they got absolutely nothing. Like I don't call Roy much in return for a guy of Mitch Marner's caliber.
Well, let's face it here. It'd be tough playing in Toronto with that media always all over you.
Absolutely.
But how can he be surprised? He's from Toronto. He knows exactly what it's like. He read it all in the Toronto Star and the Toronto Sun and the Globe and Mail back in the newspaper days when he was young. He saw it all on TSN. He heard the chatter. Later on, he heard all the chatter online long before. And I'm sure he heard it in London as well. You know, there's no way you could be in that situation and not have a real good idea what it was going to be like, how hard the fans can be on this team because of the decades of frustration. They just want one. It's not like they demand like the Patriots to win 6. They just want one stinking cup, and they get angry because they've been, well, I can relate because I'm a Bills fan. You know, you get close and then it's, you know, the closer you seem to get, the further away you are. And so that Leaf fans are inherently apt to take their frustrations out on the nearest, let's just say, the lowest hanging fruit. And when you got a guy like Marner coming back, that's his low hanging fruit. That's dragging on the ground. That's easy pickings for Leaf fans. So
he doesn't.
When he was there, they want to get, you know, they see the way he plays. Leaf fans, you know, they take a lot of ribbing or whatever, but most of them know the game, and they know a guy that won't go to the dirty areas to score a goal in the playoffs becomes a player that ends up on the outside of the rink. And they just couldn't figure out how to make that work for them long term. He put up decent numbers in the playoffs, but I think it's fair to say he was never really an impact player. You could say that about Nylander, who won a game for them, you know, a couple of goals in a game, I remember, against Boston. But you never really think of Marner. The only really indelible Marner memory is from the Four Nations Cup when he set up McDavid.
Just adding to what you were saying, Halser, he puts a lot of pressure on himself, him and Matthews, by demanding to be the highest paid players in their positions. They don't give any, you know, team friendly discounts so that they can go out and get guys to surround him and support him with. They want to be the highest paid right winger. They want to be the highest paid center. Now, the very next week, somebody else is going to bypass them. But when they're signing their contracts and negotiating, not one time would they ever give Toronto a discount. And I think that's part of the problem that makes Leaf fans angry, is that, you know, they say they want to win a cup, but you don't really want to. You're looking after your own bank account. Look at a guy like McDavid, who could have technically made as much as 19 and change this year, signed for like what, 12 or 13, because he wants to win a cup. He wants to allow the GM to go out and get guys to support him and finally beat the Florida Panthers. So just my 2 cents. Let's quickly talk about Willie Nylander flipping the bird to everyone. What do you make of that, Shanker?
What a buffoon. Like, what do you... The Leafs already have so much attention on them. Why would you want to draw even more attention? Just for... I get it. He didn't mean it. He's just trying to be a smart ass and probably make the TV people laugh and Leaf fans laugh, but I see he came out with an apology today, and if I'm Craig Berube, I know he's hurt right now, but he needs to be suspended for his actions. Like, you're making the Leafs look like a joke.
Yeah, not flattering
not
in
smart,
any sense. No. So what about you, Halser? What are your thoughts about it?
Well, it was a childish error. That's something that he should have, you know, it's something I would do to, well, you, but not on camera. You know, I think I have done before. I think on the golf course, they gave you the finger once before.
Once
we
or
don't,
twice.
we don't do it on camera. We don't do it, you know, when everybody's watching and when we're in public. And, you know, simple decorum says don't do it. But when you are famous and, you know, I'm pretty sure if you're a Toronto Maple Leaf and you are in view, you should probably go ahead and assume that there is a camera on you at all times, because there probably is. And so, you know, act accordingly. But, you know, I could see it. It's Toronto's amazing. And it kind of leads me into a point that I was thinking about when I mentioned that. You look at the Marner situation, we talked that blue in the face, but then look at the weekend. You got Stolars, who's making a stink about playing in the minors. You've got Nylander doing his thing. You've got Marner being a distraction. And then all of a sudden, the media in Toronto, just today, they're on the Leafs about 0-3-1 in their last 4, and they dumped 2 straight to Vegas and Colorado. Okay, so only in Toronto can somebody get angry about 2 of the best teams coming in and beating your hockey club in succession.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's crazy. The Leafs season has just gotten unhinged because all of this shit is going on and they still can't seem to win hockey games. They're not as bad a hockey team as they show on occasion. They're just a frustrating 500 hockey club, but they got all this drama going on and the media is jumping all over it. So it's just nuts there. Am I ever glad I am not a Leaf fan?
Well, let's get into end zone and fantasy. We got some college football and NFL, AFC and NFC games to talk about. We'll hear from our sponsor, TNT Security Inc. We'll be right back.
End Zone and Fantasy, brought to you by TNT Security Inc., where security meets reliability. Call Todd Schmidt today for a security quote on your concert, dance, sporting, and alcohol event, business, property, or mobile patrol security.
All right, guys, what are we going to do now on Monday nights? We don't have Monday Night Football. We don't have the college Natty. So now we got to find something to do. I don't have Prime, so I can't watch NHL hockey. But yeah, that what a game, though, last Monday night in Miami at the Hard Rock Stadium. You had number 1 Indiana taking on number 10 Miami. Arguably the most talked about college game in a lot of years. I forget the actual, I think it was 30 million people tuned in to watch it, which put it at about number 3 or 4 all time of college football. But what an amazing game. It started off kind of slow, but then things really heated up, especially in the fourth quarter. What did you like in that game, Halser?
Well, it was exactly as advertised. Last week when we were talking about it, I said, it's that line I used about the irresistible force and the immovable object. It was a good old fashioned slugfest. Everything that Indiana threw at them, Miami threw back. And in the end, it was kind of like we called it. It's like, it'll be a good game. Miami's going to fight back, but we think that Indiana is just a little bit too strong. And they were in the end. And it was a great game to cap off a great season and a great story for IU. You just love a team that, never done it before. That was part of the cool factor, was the fact that they've never done it. And, Mendoza's going off to the draft. He's probably going to be the first pick overall.
It would appear so.
Year. I mean, what an amazing year.
Shanker, what did you like about that game?
Well, just like you said, it was a roller coaster, because that first half was your ride up and the second half was the rest of your ride. At the end of the first half, with Miami missing that field goal, I believe that hurt them in the end, because
the doink.
Hit the doink. You should have had 3. But then I said it before he went off the air, Mark Fletcher. And what a game did he have? 2 rushing touchdowns.
You did call him.
Mm-hmm. But I think the highlight night was Mendoza's, was it a 15-yard run in there where he almost got decapitated for this running touchdown? Like, what a play by a kid. And he only
unbelievable
4th and 5, no less.
He didn't throw any touchdown passes. He only had 186 yards passing. So he really picked that team up when he had to and carried them in there. Because if you give Miami 5 more minutes, I think it's a different ending.
Yeah, maybe.
Well, like, other than the ending there with Carson Beck, he was toe-to-toe with Mendoza there in the fourth quarter. What I thought would really set the tone of the game was when Miami defensive lineman Jacoby Thomas targeted Mendoza after Mendoza had clearly released the ball, and he lowered his head and hit him in the chin with the crown of his helmet and had
I could not believe that was. I mean, that's an ejection all year long. It's not just a penalty. That's an ejection.
It's an ejection.
Year.
Yeah. And like, you saw Signetti on the sidelines going like, what are you doing? Like, how did you not call that? And I thought, that it's going to be interesting. He didn't get rattled. Remember when we talked about it, I think it was against Ohio State on the first play of the game where he almost got knocked out of that game. Like, the kid just picks himself up and keeps going. And so after he was able to continue after that hit from Thomas, they were up 10-0 at the half. Like you said, Shanker, you had Davis nail it off the right upright to keep it at 10-0. Fletcher had 2 TDs. And it was just one of those games where it almost seemed like it was destiny for IU. And you got to give Signetti a lot of credit. All the times that he was a riverboat gambler, Sean Payton didn't do so well gambling, and we'll talk about that shortly. But Signetti went for it on 4th and 5 from Miami's 37. And he hit Charlie Becker there on the right-hand side to get the first down, keep the drive going. Didn't want to take 3. And then he had 4th and 5 there where Signetti, remember how he originally was thinking field goal before Mendoza dove into the end, and pulls the field goal unit off after the TV timeout and puts Mendoza back in at 4th and 5 from the 13 and calls for a quarterback draw. But see it where he got hit at the 5, spun around, did a 360, kept going, and dove into the end zone. And I guess a petition's going around right now at IU to get a bronze statue put of that play where he's stretching out going into the end zone to be in front of the football stadium, Memorial Stadium. So that'd be cool if that happens. But overall, just a fantastic game. You had Brady and Raiders owner Mark Davis were there checking him out. And unfortunately, the Cinderella slipper fell off Miami when Beck threw that pick with a minute 42 left in the fourth quarter. But all in all, a great game, and hope we can get more college games like that next year, because wow, what a ride that was and what a way to finish. So okay, moving on to the NFL. We'll start with the AFC. bit of a yawner of the two. Definitely not like the NFC game with the Rams and the Seahawks. But what did you like about the Patriots Broncos game, Halser?
Oh, I can't believe Buffalo's not in the Super Bowl. This is ridiculous. How the fuck did you lose to Denver? Honestly, should have beat them 3 or 4 times. And then the way they looked yesterday, they can't. Oh, it's snowing. We can't do anything offensively. That defense that got all the good news and the good press today got absolutely lit up for 35 points by the Buffalo offense a month ago.
Yeah.
I just can't believe that 2 teams that look that awful, one of them's going to the Super Bowl. They might still show up and win the game, but it is absolutely ridiculous to me as a Bills fan that somehow these 2 shitty teams are in there and we're not.
Shanker, what did you think of the Broncos Pats game?
Kickers have one job to do, and to go miss 3 field goals combined or 4 field goals combined for both teams. Come on. Give me a
Now,
break.
the weather did play a part in the second half.
But there's
the
first half, though, come on.
Yeah.
You got to score. And especially after the way the Broncos started out. They marched right down, scored, and then do nothing after that.
Like Stidham started off really well. He threw that bomb to Mims there early in the first quarter.
And they're up 7-0 at the half.
Yeah.
If he doesn't do that, whatever the hell that was that he did to give the ball away inside in their own red zone. I mean, you're in your own red zone. Just lay down.
Yeah.
What are you doing? Just lay down and take the sack. Okay, it's 4th and forever. Punt it. And, oh, by the way, you got like one of the top 3 defenses in the NFL, you idiot. It's like
what I thought was interesting with all the technology that they have, they had to have known that snowstorm was coming for the second half. So why Sean Payton wouldn't take the points at 7-0 to put them up 10-0, because they would have had to have thought, hey, look, points are going to be hard to get in the second half if this storm comes.
Yeah.
I just don't understand why he would risk it with a backup quarterback. Take the points. It was a chip shot, right? Now you're up 10. Now you're up 2 scores. That's come back to haunt him.
But not only that, throw the ball. Like, you need 1 yard, dude. A keeper. Get a tush push. Do something. You throw the ball.
Yeah.
He had the rollout there. New England, they had a 4th and short. What did they do? They run the damn ball and they get the first down.
Yeah.
Like, bad coaching, bad decisions, bad football, just ugly. If that game didn't mean anything, we'd all be just sitting here talking about it, going, what a dog's breakfast that was. Could you imagine buying a regular season ticket and going there and you say, could you imagine spending the money they spent on an AFC championship game and they get that,
right?
And your whole your team scores, like you said, on the first drive and then doesn't score again against a defense that was 25th against the run.
Yeah,
I'm a firm believer, and that's one of my pet peeves for watching football. Take the points when you can get them, and we're going to get to that in the next game, because I'll save my rant for then.
All right, this is how terrible, and like I said, the weather played a huge role there in the second half. May was 10 for 21, 86 yards, no TDs throwing. He had the one rushing TD that they got off of the fumble from Stidham. He had a 58.8 rating. Stidham was only marginally better, 17 of 31 for 133 yards, 1 TD, 1 pick, and he had a 63 rating. But to your point, though, Halser, the Broncos, all they had to do was kick a field goal and take a sack, and they're going to the Super Bowl playing against Seattle. That's all they had to do. Because if they kick that field goal, they're up by 10. And if Stidham takes that sack, then May probably doesn't get he definitely doesn't get the ball in the red zone, and they end up winning the game, right? So crazy. All right, let's get into the NFC game. You had the Rams going into Seattle. The Seahawks take down the Rams 31-27 in a thriller. My goodness, that was a couple of gunslingers with Sam Darnold throwing for 3 TDs, 346 yards, versus Matt Stafford. He had 374 yards and 3 TDs. Just an unbelievable gunfight. Shanker, what did you think of that game?
Oh, I thought it might have been the game of the year. It was like a good old boxing match, right? Just a good slug fest. Like when Seattle scored, the Rams came back down and scored, and vice versa, all game long. And for both quarterbacks to throw out like almost 750 yards combined, what more could you ask for? But my thing, I think it was about 3 minutes and 50 seconds left when the Rams had it 4th and goal. And I'm sitting there going, kick your field goal, take the 3. And when they didn't do that, knowing they had 3 timeouts plus the 2-minute warning left, so now you get stopped. Seattle comes back down. They get stopped. And instead of being down by 1 now with your last drive, with a chance to maybe
still
win,
down by 4, yeah.
Yeah. Take the goddamn 3 points. Because now at the end of the game, you're looking at, it would have been probably a 55, 60-yard field goal to win the game, but at least you're giving yourself a chance to win the game. And this is why I was saying they should take the 3 points all the time. And I don't know what the percentages are around that, but again, this is another one where it cost them in the end. And Sean McVay should be getting questioned for it.
Well, there was, if I'm not mistaken, a little over 4 minutes to go when they did that. So it wasn't like as if they were in the 2-minute warning.
No.
I think he was just worried, they're 4:59 left, and
their
they
defense hasn't stopped anybody all game. I get it, but take the 3. What's the worst that could happen?
Yeah. Alzer, what did you think of that game, that slugfest?
Well, to Schenker's point, I think the 2 situations were a little bit different. In the Denver game, 100%, you got your backup quarterback in on a cold day. The weather's coming. Your defense is standing on their heads. Of course, you take those points. But with McVay and that offense, there's a different kind of synergy going on there because it's the regular quarterback, one of the top offenses. I think the top scoring offense in the league. And so, I know, and I'm not saying they're right or wrong, but I certainly see McVay's point. He's aggressive. He wants to get the touchdown and then count on my defense. I agree with you personally that you take the points and count on your D, but I totally get McVay. It's just, like I said, I just think they're just a little bit different, those situations. Anyways, the quarterbacking in this game was exquisite, really. At one point in the 4th quarter, I didn't see the end QBRs, but at some point in the 4th quarter, Darnold's QBR was 145 and Stafford's was 142. And like I say, I don't know what they ended up at, but they were that high late in the game. And that is amazing that 2 quarterbacks playing at that level. Keeping in mind, those are 2 really good defense. Like, in fact, Seattle's the best defense in the league.
Yes.
And the Rams were, I think, a top 7 or top 8 defense as well. No slouches at all.
Mm-hmm.
And there you go. There's 60 points scored in that game. And, to Shanker's point, there probably should have been more. So at the end of the day, the quarterbacking was just top shelf, and you have to stop and really look at Sam Darnold on his 5th team in 8 years, drafted by the Jets, number 3 overall, 2018. By the way, same draft as Baker Mayfield, Josh Allen, and LeVar Jackson. And he's the first one to make the Super Bowl. And this guy has been everywhere. He's like pubic hair, man. He's been everywhere, man. I'm telling you, 5 teams in 8 years, dude. Drafted by the Jets. They trade him. Carolina let him go. Minnesota wins 14 games in a season. He comes out and shits the bed in the playoffs, and they let him go.
Yeah.
And then what does he do then? He goes out and wins 13 more games in the regular season. Dude's got 27 wins in the regular season. And really the only thing they're standing on is the fact that he shit the bed in the playoffs last year. Watch this guy go. He's in the Super Bowl. By all accounts, he's going to go and win himself a ring. And all those other teams had him, and they could have him right now. And that contract that he signed at the start of this year, 3 years for
$100 million.
And everybody went, you guys are nuts. You're crazy. That's the risk. All of a sudden, Sam Darnold's the best deal in the NFL, isn't he?
Absolutely. Just to your point, though, Halser, Darnold ended up with a 127.8 rating, and Stafford ended up with a 127.6. Both crazy numbers. Hats off to those guys. Love watching those guys gunslinging it in late in the fourth quarter with everything at stake. And I read a good article about Sam Darnold where they were saying about all of his faults. Doesn't do this very well, doesn't do that. Bad footwork. What they said to him, though, the scouts were saying about him at the end of the report, he doesn't let failure phase him. And he just believed in himself. And he even said it that what changed him was his mindset when he went to San Francisco and he got to work with Shanahan and Purdy. And he just said that working with those two guys totally turned my life and my career around. And he was speaking accolades of those two guys and then took that to Minnesota. And I think Minnesota would like a mulligan right about now, looking at the...
Because Minnesota's got a good team. All they're saying is, he needs a quarterback.
Right. Oh, right. We had him. So, all right. Well, that's it for End Zone and Fantasy. Just quickly, Seattle's a 4.5-point favorite over Clarkie's Patriots. We'll have to hear what he has to say about that. And the only other thing I wanted to quick mention was, did you guys see Mac Hollins? I put it on our group chat where he came in acting like the hit movie from cult classic, The Warriors, where he was clanging the 3 beer bottles and just hilarious. He had the vest on and doing the Warrior chant. The guy reminds me of Geddy Lee that was doing it in the car. Like, it was hilarious. Yeah. And then to hear Vrabel talking about it on the podium, accepting the trophy, and then in the dressing room addressing the guys. So shout out to them. I don't know how they got the Warriors, but that's something Clarko should do with the Stratford junior team, doing something like that, getting them pumped up for the playoffs. So, all right, we got Clarko waiting in the wings. We'll hear from our sponsor, Nick Hishin with Indy Mortgages, and we'll be right back with Buzzin' with Clarko.
Buzzin' with Clarko, a weekly roundup of the Stratford Warriors with Jason Clark, brought to you by Nick Hishin of Indy Mortgage, the independent mortgage company serving customers from coast to coast with access to well over 50 lending options available. Give Nick a call as he works for you, not the banks. FISRA license number 12403.
Yeah. Look at this.
How are you boys tonight? Oh my God.
That's awesome.
Talking about
what a beautiful, ugly win.
Right?
Let the haters hate. Was there a football game yesterday? My God.
That's what everyone says about the Stratford Warriors.
What's that?
That's what everyone says about the Stratford Warriors. Let the haters hate.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. It's a great spot to be when things are going well.
Outside of Foxborough, I think all of North America is pulling for Sam Darnold because we're so sick and tired of watching you guys hoist the Lombardi trophy.
Oh my God, the memes today and all last night. I mean, the internet is undefeated.
Right?
It is so good. So
I think
good.
Truth be told, most of America is just waiting for baseball season.
Yeah, it's over. It's over. Yep, that's right. There's no doubt a big portion of football fans who are Josh Allen and the Bills were going to walk this year. Easiest path.
Didn't happen.
No. Crumbling there now. So,
well, what's unbelievable, I don't know if you know how Vrabel and the Patriots have taken on the Warriors movie and doing the chant.
No, I don't know how. I don't know how they got there. Some weekend road trip probably, and somebody liked the movie and brought it up or something. Yeah, I don't know, but
Holland is a peach. Bills fans miss him from last year. He used to, late in the season with all the snow, he would walk into the stadium barefoot, dude. He's one weird dude. Yeah. So the Patriots fans are gonna love that cat, man. He's out there.
I don't think the Patriots get to the Super Bowl without Mike Vrabel. He's such a good coach.
100%. He totally changed the mindset. Like he took a 4-13 team and turned them around to 14-3. Like it was just that. Now, full disclosure, you guys had one of the easiest schedules, but still, right? Like you won the games you were supposed to win. You stayed healthy.
Yeah.
And the coach, the mindset, it all started with Vrabel. And with him knowing the Patriot way, going back to Belichick and Brady, and he just has instilled new life back in Foxborough. And so good on you guys, right? Like,
yeah. I think, a lot of teaching probably, this year, a really good coach did a lot of coaching. I did read something today. You guys know better. You follow the full NFL way more than I do, but, they said the Patriots played 12 of the same teams the Bills played in their easy schedule. So, you know what I mean? As ugly and as mad as everybody is that they're back, I just love it so much. But like every Patriot fan does. But they just found a way. And in any team sport, you find a way to get one more point than the other team each night. You're in a really good spot. Yep. So. The way they've played the last 2 weeks, watching the last 2 weeks game, the offense, and I understand everyone thinks they're going to get crushed in a couple weeks, but you know what? It's one game, and who's going to prepare better, and who's going to get those breaks? You guys were talking about it in the segment before here, right? And if any of you follow Dave Portnoy, which I'm sure you do, he's been on fire since the game started yesterday. Oh, yeah. But a couple of the things that he was saying really rang true about, everything has to go your way.
Yep.
And, sometimes when things are going your way, like who would have thought Stidham was going to try and shot put that ball to nowhere, right? And it's like a golden egg. And of course you score right away.
Right.
Right. Was it in the late game there, that guy for Seattle took that ridiculous unsportsmanlike.
Oh yeah,
they go right after him. Bang, 7. Right. Yep. So, anyways, it was a great day for a Pats fan, and I'm loving the heat. It is so good. Like I said earlier, the internet is undefeated with the memes and bringing back the memes of Brady and Gronk walking around. Like it's all love and joy. My phone was on fire from people that know that I follow the Patriots. So it's been a good 24 hours.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, and you brought up a good point about Brady. People just got tired of seeing him winning all the time, right? That's not the story with Drake May. He's a likable guy. He's like Sam Darnold, right? Like if Drake May wore any other uniform other than the Patriots, people might be cheering for him, but he's just a classy guy, plays the game right. It's like Sam Darnold. People have a soft spot for guys that, because I think he's the second youngest guy to win a AFC championship, Drake May, other than Dan
Marino.
Marino, sorry. Yeah, thank you. Hats off to you guys, Clarko. It's good. It's something to talk about. At least it's better than watching Jarrett Stidham try and take on the Seahawks. I don't think that would be a very good game personally.
Well, he showed flashes yesterday where I thought, this guy, he doesn't look like the backup right now. But a couple mistakes, but so be it. It is what it is, and 2 weeks of sheer pandemonium and mouthing off everybody I can. And we'll see what happens. So 2 weeks of joy for sure. Or, it's been an entire season of joy to see the turnaround for sure. If you're past fan. So,
I'd like to wish you good luck.
Yeah,
I really, really would.
But you just can't. I love it. Especially because you're so crushed about the Bills. And I just love it year after year. They just invent ways to fuck it up, which is fantastic.
They do.
That's the best. The Buffalo Bills. It's true. Yes. The Buffalo Bills are the best team in pro sports at finding ways to lose.
Yeah.
Yes. Them and the Leafs. They're the two best teams at doing
Poor
that.
Graffer, right? He's a Leaf and a Bills fan.
My brother is too. It's just amazing they live this long.
Yeah, I don't know how they do it every year.
Oh, God.
Anyway, was there any junior games played last week? I don't remember.
Yeah, there was one game on Thursday that you guys Took a snowy road trip down to Sarnia to play the 0-37 Legionnaires.
Yeah.
Gage Hurst started for you guys, stopping 16 of 19. And you said Zach Irwin, even though he let in 10, played a pretty good game for them.
Yeah, I wanted to make a shout out to Zach and also to Sarnia, to the group of players there. And he was here in Stratford a few weeks ago, and I think we scored 7 on him that night. Don't hold me to that. I'm not sure, but he had made 60 or 60 plus saves, or we had 60 or 65 shots on him that night. And again, here in Sarnia last week, he stopped 50 of 60. Yeah. Sure, the score, you just pay attention to the score, 10-3 win. It's a big rout, et cetera, et cetera. But, the kid played fantastic. And why I have a little soft spot for him is he played some minor hockey in Stratford. And one year I coached a year of minor hockey in town here during COVID. And so we didn't play any games, right? We played a few exhibition games, but got to spend a ton of time with him on the ice because all we did was practice all year. So you really got to know the kids well. And it was with a really strong 07 age group here that you guys are well aware of in Stratford. Just a fantastic kid and a great family. And he's had some unfortunate luck in the league. He's bounced around for a couple teams, but a kid that keeps his head up and comes and works every night. And, I really wish him the best. He's got a couple more years of junior hockey in front of him. So I hope he finds a way or the team finds their way in Sarnia. And for the players on Sarnia, we were a little delayed getting there with the travel. And they were up 2-1 when we walked into the game, and they don't quit. Like, I think most of us, we've seen teams that have a record similar or, a really poor record, and the kids quit, or the players quit on whatever team it is, and they go through the motions. This group works hard and they try. Now they're very, very young, and, hopefully they stick with it. And if they can keep guys around for multiple years, they'll be a good hockey team in a few years. But they're just overmatched most nights, unfortunately, but I do give them credit for coming and working hard as a group as they come to the rink each night. So
a handful of guys from your team played with Irvin, right? At least 4, maybe
yes.
4.
Yep.
Who is it? Slattery and Green and Murphy?
Grady Murphy. Yep.
There's got to be another one. Maybe. How about Marshall? Did Marshall play with him? Or was he from Mitchell?
No, Marsh might have played with him for a bit.
Yeah. That was an incredible 07 team, man. Yeah.
Carter Petrie, who was here last year, he would have played with him as well. So, really, really good group of guys here. And, and that night, our performance, I thought we played well, down there on the road, 7 different goal scorers again. So, really good to see our group scoring across the lineup. And, it was real nice. I missed the big game against St. Mary's. I was away, and I think you guys debriefed that one last week as well. That was game 1 for Cruz Ferguson, our pickup at the trade deadline. And Cruz really kind of cemented himself with our group here and got comfortable, got back on the scoring sheet on Thursday night down there in Sarnia. And 4 goals and an assist. He made a real nice play to Jonas Schmidt for a one-timer on a power play goal as well. So it was really nice to see him. That's the first time I've seen him play live in-game action for us. Obviously I've seen him play for London. And then, like I said, scoring right across the lineup for us. So real happy with the group. Was really looking forward to that game against Strathroy on the Friday night. Yeah. However, weather shut that one down for us because they're a team that's on the rise and seem to be beating everybody in the league. And they've taken us to overtime twice this year, I believe. We're 1-1 against them. So, they're a tough team to play and another really good test for us.
Yeah, you're right. They're one of the hotter teams in the league. They're 6-4. The Rockets are their last 10. And we've been talking about them nonstop. It seems like Jake Ritson, the rookie, and LeBlanc, the two of them are heating it up. We're going to talk about them a little bit later on Rhett's Roundup because you had St. Thomas beating the Maroons, but then Strathroy went and beat St. Thomas. So we're going to be talking about Ritson and LeBlanc. Ritson had an unreal weekend. So
two really, really good players there.
Really good.
They're a deep team.
Yeah, exactly. And speaking of teams, you guys are currently sitting in 5th. You've got Chatham still hanging on to 1st. They played 39 games. They got 57 points. Elmira and St. Mary's are tied neck and neck for second, played 35 games with 56 points. London, who you guys got a game with coming up, they played 37 games, have 51 points, and then you guys have a few games in hand, having played 34 games and 50 points. Your upcoming games, you go Wednesday to London, so that'll be interesting. You guys are going to have to keep an eye on Austin Pomerleau and Alexander Campo. Those two guys seem to be lighting it up for the Nationals right now. Then you come back home Friday against Kamoka, and then Sunday you go on the road to Elmira. So you guys got a big weekend ahead of you, Clarkie.
Yeah, very big week. Tough games in front of us here. It's first time that Cruz will play against London, and Jack McGurn and Matthew Blake will be playing us. And so, it's kind of been a broken record for us since about October. We've been talking about we're in a good spot. We have games in hand. And so, I think we're still keeping a good pace with the league. I think, looking at the standings and looking at games played, I would say Elmira and St. Mary's are the top two teams. And there is a bit of a break between fifth and sixth points wise. And we're getting down to, 15, 20 games left to play for everybody or less than that. So, I think the top five are going to jockey for different positions in there. And we're going to try and get as high as we can get for sure. But it's really important to win those games that we do have in hand. And it all comes with starts Wednesday night there. Us in London's a really big game for us to get a game and still have those games in hand remaining. And, Kamoka always plays us tough. Elmira Sunday, another top test in the league. So, and it's always a good atmosphere there when we travel and play. So really looking forward to that battle on Sunday. But, huge 6 points for us, especially when we're chasing teams, not only just in front of us, but teams that we have games in hand.
You guys got back-to-back killer weekends. You got following weekend, you got Friday with Chatham in Stratford. You got 3 games in a row all in Stratford. You got Chatham in Stratford. Then you got the Siskins coming to town. And then on Super Bowl Sunday, we got the Lincolns coming to town. So that's really going to be interesting.
Yeah, 2 6-point weeks available. But next weekend is really running the gauntlet there, right? And that's not that you ever play 3-3 in the playoffs, but those are 3 playoff games back to back to back. One possible benefit we have is we're at home, so guys are done the game and back in bed and get to our rink and be comfortable and no road trips in there. But I don't think it's a huge advantage. It's nice, but those would be 3 really tough games to play.
Yeah. Well,
I don't recall that ever seeing that in this league, a team playing. That's a testament to all the postponements you've had, Clarkie. I don't remember seeing a team having to play 3 straight at home.
Yeah, no, and Nick Barr would be the guy to give you the exact answer, but I think kind of looking at our schedule and where it was and Waterloo's schedule, that was kind of the only day that we could really fit them in, and unfortunately, squeeze them in between a Chatham and a St. Mary's. Like it's not ideal, but if you're afraid to play anybody in your league, you probably got the wrong mindset. So we'll prepare and see what happens night after night there.
All right. Well, we're looking forward to that. That's going to be back-to-back great weekends of games at the Almond Arena. So, and don't forget, we got the chicken dinner at 3 for the Lincoln's game, put on by Joe's Diner. $40 gets you a half chicken dinner and a ticket into the game. You can't beat that, folks. So you got lots of time to come to the meal, watch the game, and still be home for kickoff. So make sure that you take a couple of shekels and set them aside for Super Bowl Sunday, for Sunday afternoon, for the Lincolns and the Warriors. All right, Clarko.
Yes, sir.
Love the get up. Graffer's already been saying in the side chat how much he loves it. So can't wait to get this on.
That's fantastic. Yeah, that's great. Well, you got to do it once in a while, right? Chime in when you can. So
that's awesome.
You guys have a great week. Thanks for having me again. Thanks for Hish again for the sponsorship, and look forward to a good week here, boys.
All right. Director of Hockey Operations, Jason Clark, will be right back with Chris Chessel and Chester's Perch.
You can't put a price on a good time. Chester's Perch, the Lincoln's Report, brought to you by the Boathouse Stratford, located at 30 York Street. Come see us down at the Avon River for pedal boats, kayaks, canoes, Juliet boat tours, and bike rentals. Enjoy great food and ice cream at the Riverside Patio Restaurant. Pet friendly and operated by the Herr family since 1965.
Chester's in the house. Chris Chessel, how are you, brother?
I am good, gentlemen. That's quite a tough act to follow when you got Jim the Anvil Neidhart coming through your
Isn't
screen,
it?
but we'll hope for the best here.
Love it.
Hey,
Love
he'd be
it.
nothing without that North Carolina boy, Drake May. So
Right?
I'll take a little bit of enjoyment in watching him play. So
Yeah,
it's good stuff.
yeah. He I'm sure you probably heard us talking about it. He just seems like a likable guy.
Yeah.
People hated all the wins that Tom Brady was getting, but Drake May just seems such a likable guy. Unfortunately, he's wearing the Pats colors, and the rest of America's tired of watching them hoist the Lombardi.
Oh yeah, he's got that clutch gene, right? Just like his brother Luke. Hit a couple huge shots with North Carolina back 4 or 5 years ago there in the March Madness. So
Okay.
something about those families. Sometimes you get those families and kids that just thrive, right? They grow up in a
Exactly.
competitive environment their whole lives, right? And it just carries on. It's fun to watch.
Absolutely. You guys had a quiet week too. You only had the one game, the 1-0 win over Waterloo at the PRC. Brogan Calhoun got the start between the pipes again, having the shutout. You were saying that Brogan had a great game Friday night. Take us through what you saw.
Yeah, I thought Brogan, good to see him come back from, a couple weeks off, almost about a month actually off, and throw him in there on home ice Friday night. It was a bit of a surprise, I think, to most of us in the rink, but it was a great surprise. He came in and he just looked like he has all year. He's just been solid and calm and, just a really good hockey game. He had a couple really tough 2-on-1s, a couple breakaways as well, and he just stood tall. And he's done what he's done all year and really didn't show any signs of rust or anything from his injury. So really good to see, right? And Brian for Waterloo, he's played us a couple times this year too, and he's been fantastic against us. And he was again on Friday night. Just really, he battles in there. And Waterloo is such a tough team to play against. They seem to play us really, really well. Some nights I look at box scores from other games when Waterloo plays somebody, I'm like, how is this the same team that comes into the PRC every year and they just make our lives miserable? But they just play a great style of hockey in our barn and it gives us fits, right? And they did it again Friday night. They just don't give you guys any room at all. They play a really good defensive game. For a team that's in 6th, 7th place, they have a pretty good goals against, right? So they do understand the defensive side of the ice and they got good goaltending. Their biggest, Achilles heel is their goal scoring, right?
Yeah.
They got Budzai. I think he's got 34, 35 points. He's their top guy. Last year they had 3 or 4 guys who could really score. Neil and Reed Oliver, Klein. They had some guys who could light it up, and you had to really not give them any room. With this team, it's just a more bump and grind and just beat you down kind of hockey. And my goodness, they put on a pretty good display Friday night. They kind of drive you crazy at the same time. Between whistles, it's just nonstop verbal. Like the conversations on the ice are just nonstop. And it was like that in the playoffs last year too. It just continued right through to Friday night. Oh, but entertaining, that's for sure.
Yeah, you were saying that Budzai, it really hurt losing Lombardi to the O.
Yeah,
that was really
huge.
lighting it up for them. And then Jacob Middleton and Drake Neal and Liam King and Jackson Halloran. So yeah, they got a good young team there. You get a hot goalie that seems to turn it up against a good team like yourself, and that's where danger can enter a conversation because a hot goalie hides a lot of mistakes.
Friday night I was at a fundraiser for the Winterfest here in Stratford. It was a comedy night at the Arden Park Hotel. Good sponsors of ours, the Haters, Greg and Andrea, wonderful people,
great people.
And it was a great show. The third guy was absolutely hilarious. I won't get too far into it, but it was about a 20-minute dissertation on the story of his vasectomy. And he just slayed the room. Anyways, I watched the highlight pack, and I've seen Waterloo play enough, and they're a dangerous team, dude. And like Ryan wasn't like, he's not a hot goalie. He plays like that all the time. Chess is right. I think they're 5th in the league in goals against. They just don't score. If they were to score anywhere near as much as St. Mary's, they'd be a completely dangerous team. Not only are they big and quick, but they have sandpaper. And then they brought back Boston Bork, who I think had an early night in the second period there, but he adds a whole lot of nasty to the back end of that hockey club. It's good coaching. And, when you think about them in a playoff series, they're big, they're fast, they play with sandpaper, they have good goaltending, they're not afraid to mix it up, and their rink is completely singular. So they're a team that people need to concern themselves with. And I don't like seeing them drop down into 8th, because I kind of feel like St. Mary's is going to end up 1 or 2, 3 at the worst. And you just think, man, that would suck to win this league and end up running into the Waterloo again. But you can see in the highlights that 7 games, there's still enough guys left on both of these teams to remember a really, really tough 7-game series last year. So they play again, I think, Sunday, don't they, back in Waterloo? And that's going to be a lot of fun, too. I might have to make the drive up for that game.
I got a quick question for Chess. With 3 now on your roster, do you see the Lincolns like just giving everybody the odd game here and there to keep everybody fresh?
Yeah, I think that gives them a bit of flexibility to move around. I think you're going to see mostly Colby and Brogan kind of go back and forth a lot down the stretch, and I think Vaughn will take more of a backup role. He's had a fantastic season as a 16-year-old kid, but I think you got 2 vets going now head to head down the stretch here. I think we'll see a lot of them.
Because he has to, with Barr being 16, they have to dress him every game, don't they?
Yeah, as far as I understand, that is the rule. And I think that's the plan. And like I said, they'll just rotate the big gunners and gives them a chance to stay healthy. Like Brogan,
exactly.
We don't want to. We're hoping that he still feels great after the game on Friday night, which I think he is. But it just gives them that depth. If something does go wrong, God forbid somebody gets hurt, they're in a pretty good spot, right? They got 3 goalies. So I think London might be in the same situation, right? They got a bit of depth in case there's some trouble. So, you know what? It's not ideal maybe for some people, but as far as I'm concerned, I think it's awesome to have that kind of depth and just some insurance down the stretch here.
It's definitely a nice luxury to have. You didn't want to roll the dice and hope that Brogan was going to be able to make it. We hope that he can, but with his injury, if that did pose a problem, they had no choice. They had to go out and get reassurance. You guys have a nice luxury where you have 3 good goalies that you can rely on at any time to carry you if necessary.
Yeah, and you know what? You got to look at it from the management side here too, right? They've got a team, again, built to make a pretty long run here, right? And like you said, Razor, they had to make sure that they've done everything they can do from your forwards to your defense. They've been building that team since October, November, adding pieces. The one piece left was just to make sure that they're going to be solid in the back, right? And I think they had to do something. Like you said, it was too risky in case Brogan was hurt long term. So, they had to make that final move just to make sure that this team is built for the run, right? So it's a long way to go and a lot of good hockey teams in the way here. But, I think just like at the top 3 or 4 teams, anybody can win this thing, some bounces and some luck. But, it should be a fun ride, right?
You go to Hamilton Thursday night. You're playing the Kilty Bees there. They're 8th in the East with a 4-5-1 record, their last 10 games. Then you get the London Nationals coming to the PRC on Friday night. They're currently in 4th place. And like I was saying to Clarkie, you guys probably got to keep an eye on Pomerleau and Campo. They're 2 gunners. And then Sunday, you make a trip to Waterloo to see your friends at on the Olympic ice again at 1:30 on Sunday. So, you guys got a busy weekend like Stratford does.
Yeah, there's going to be some bumps and bruises after this weekend, I'm sure, because Hamilton might not be a top team, but they play a physical, rough game as well. And then you throw London at you, and then Waterloo. The boys will be looking for Monday morning pretty quickly. Little ice packs and some sleeping, but it should be a good weekend.
Nothing seems to fire this team up like a game against London.
Yeah, that's just it. Well, that's just it, Halser. You know what? Their last 3 wins haven't been great hockey games, like compared to I think we're 13 in a row here, right?
Yep.
I would say the first 9 or 10 of those were pretty flawless hockey games, but the last couple have been a struggle.
We saw that last year too when they went on those long streaks, and then they started to get a little sloppy and kind of played themselves right into a bit of a funk, and then they lose, and then they wake up, and then they go back at it. So I remember Coach Bradley saying last year when the streak was over, he was actually glad it was over.
Yeah,
to be honest with you, it was like we were kind of chasing history, but at the end of the day, I want him to taste some losses, because we're going to taste that when we get to the playoffs. You're not going to run through the Western Conference with 12 straight wins. It just doesn't happen.
That's right.
A little bit of turmoil isn't a bad thing. The teams that find a way to win and get around that turmoil are usually the most successful. So, all right, Chester. Well, best of luck this weekend. We look forward to hearing about your 3-game stint from the upcoming weekend. And we also look forward to seeing you the following weekend on Super Bowl Sunday at the Almond Arena. Are you going to be coming for the chicken dinner? Or
I don't know if I'll make the dinner, but I'll definitely be at the game. So we'll check in. Don't worry.
We'll try and drag you over for a beverage on us Warriors supporters if you can go the extra 10 or 15 feet from your corner. So
just send the security over, give me a bit of space, and I can get the heck out of there.
Exactly. All right, Chris Chessel from Chester's Perch will be right back with Rhett's Roundup. Then we're going to end up with Dave Graff with Chew on that. So, all right. Thanks so much, Chester.
Have a good weekend, Chester. Yeah, bye-bye.
Rhett's Roundup, sponsored by Deal Sports Group, specializing in custom teamwear, uniforms, and apparel such as hockey, baseball, soccer, volleyball, basketball, and more. Our online stores are used mainly as a fundraising platform. We create custom designs for clothing and hard goods. They're purchased through the DSG website and shipped to the team organizer. A 20% kickback is given to the association or individual team. We also sell promotional corporate apparel and hard goods and offer many different decoration options that include embroidery, DTF prints, sublimation, twill, leather patched, and a lot more.
Yes, guy. What's going on, Rhett?
Not much, just staying warm.
If you step outside, you'll freeze up pretty quickly.
Yeah,
so
it's like living in the Arctic.
Yeah. So we're going to talk about the Chatham Maroons losing to the St. Thomas Stars, and then we're going to talk about how the Stars end up losing to the Strathroy Rockets. So what did you see in the write-ups about the Maroons losing at St. Thomas there last Friday?
Well, that's 2 straight losses for Chatham against St. Thomas in under 2 weeks, which is very surprising to me. And a lot of goals. I think Sunday in Chatham, it was 6-5 for the Stars. And then Friday night back in St. Thomas, it was a 7-5 game. So both teams just giving up a lot of goals. You had Drew Bate open up the scoring, first goal of the season. And then Olin Legalic, hopefully I said that right. He got his 11th of the season. And after the first period, it's 2-0 St. Thomas on 2 power play goals. So Chatham probably needs to stay out the box a little more. And then in the second period, a lot of goals. Miles Dunn, his 18th of the season, made it 3-0, and then Chatham came roaring back. Matthew Crawford, Braden Burke, and Caden Sienko made it 3-3. Burke had a shorthanded goal at 8-10, and then Sienko had a power play goal at 14-11. And then St. Thomas took the lead back. Tyron Lawson, his 14th of the season, And then right at the end of the period, good old Trevor Zanudo tied the game at 4. And then the third period, a lot more goals. George Matsos and then Miles Dunn. So and then Max Skinner and Miles Dunn again with his 20th of the season. So definitely Chatham needs to work on their defense and goaltending.
Well, you hit the nail on the head there, and we've all been talking about Chatham not doing anything. They're going to run with de Blasi, but they started. I noticed on the score sheet that Kukala started,
Yes,
and they pulled him 12 seconds into the second period because he had let in his third goal. He let in the 2 power play goals, and you brought up a good point there, Rhett. Chadwick was off for cross-checking, and Cienko was off for slashing, and St. Thomas scored on both those power plays, so probably can't blame Kukala for that, but when he let in a goal 12 seconds into the second period to put St. Thomas up 3-0, I'm sure that Feezy wanted to do something to shake up the team, and so he pulled him out, put de Blasi in, and then de Blasi stopped 20 of 24. There was some fights too. I don't know if you saw that in the roundup. So there was 2 fights. There was Chatham's Doyle fought St. Thomas's Mullins, and then Chadwick and Edmondson got into it. So there was a couple of good tilts, I guess. Chadwick boarded somebody, it doesn't say who, but that started the fight with Edmondson. So I'm assuming he came in, and the fights were only like 30 seconds apart from each other. So they were both in foul moods by the looks of things there in the second period.
Yeah. Chatham, they were probably a little angry. They were down 3-0 early, and then they came roaring back. Maybe those fights got them energetic and put some, fire in their souls, but didn't work out in the end.
And that's tough to do. Like when you get down like that, you can't always. I didn't see any highlights, so I can't say if they were the goalie's fault or not. But the problem is that you put your team in a vulnerable position, taking penalties like that, and St. Thomas obviously made them pay for it with back-to-back power play goals. They've got to be careful because even though Chatham would get into a track meet, as Halser calls them, with any team, they're the highest scoring team in the West. They've got to be careful to keep it out of their net because that sometimes is their Achilles. So going on to Saturday night with Strathroy, then you got St. Thomas feeling pretty good about themselves, taking down the Maroons, but then they end up playing Strathroy. They lose 7-5 to them. What did you see in the box score with that?
Well, another high-scoring game ended up 7-5 again. Former Lincoln Quentin Gavin White got his 9th of the year, and then another former Link, Xander Ketchigo, got his 6th, so it was 2-0 Strathroy at the end of the first, and then St. Thomas came roaring to life. Reed Crossman got his 9th at 4:36. Chase Pettipe's power play goal at 14:22, his 10th of the season, and then Miles Dunn, who was just on fire this week, 21st of the season at 15:06. And then Zachary LeBlanc, who was X Factor for the Strathroy Rockets, got his 24th goal of the season, 18-11. And then just a couple minutes later, Strathroy or St. Thomas tied the game with Wyatt Cameron getting his 15th goal of the season at 19:54. And then Strathroy again, they get 2 early ones. Mark Miller is 2nd of the year. And then Ritson, who was just unbelievable this season, is 19th. And then Miles Dunn again got his 22nd of the season. And then Strathroy ended the game with Ketchico and Gavin White getting 2 more goals and a power play goal, and then probably an empty net.
White's was an empty netter with Ritson assisting. And Gavin White, there's another name maybe we should be paying attention to, Halser and Shanker. He had 2 goals and 4 assists. LeBlanc had a goal and 3 helpers. And then Ritson, of course, had a goal and 5 helpers. Those 3 guys had 16 points for the Rockets there against St. Thomas. So those guys are really starting to hum along nicely. And if they can get some good goaltending. It looks like they pulled Ronan after the second period. He had let in 4 goals, and they ended up putting Costa in for the third period, and Costa ended up getting the win. And St. Thomas goalie Dylan Durno, they didn't have their stud in Camputero. They didn't have him playing. Camputero played against Maroons, but they had Durno playing against the Rockets. So excellent.
You know, the guy we should be talking about is Miles Dunn. And so keep in mind, too, that we talked about Miles Dunn early this season when we saw St. Thomas very early. You remember, Rhett, we saw him maybe 3 or 4 games into the season. They're a really young team, St. Thomas. But Miles Dunn is also like – I mean, we've been throwing out love for Jake Ritson. It's time to start talking about Miles Dunn. Not only did he score a hat trick against Chatham, but he had 2-1 or 2-2, I think, against Strathroy the next night. He's the performer of the week, 5 goals and 2 assists in 2 games. And now moved into the top 10 in scoring. And it just like Ritson, he's an 09. He's only 16. So
yeah,
there's a lot of really good 16-year-olds in this league, man. It's really exciting to see these young kids.
Yeah,
you got
48 points.
Yeah, Dunn and Legalic. Like their top 5 scorers for the Stars are all rookies. Dunn, Legalic, Cameron, Lawson, and Edmondson. And yeah. Good.
They're going to be a really good team in the next year or 2, man.
Yeah.
St. Thomas is going to be dangerous come playoff time if they're clicking. Camputaro's clicking, and their young scores are clicking. Look out for St. Thomas.
Yep, they could be tough. You're right.
Well, and it's like I said with Camputero, he can win you a game all by himself. So if that guy gets hot, he's like Grind with Waterloo. Good goaltending hides a lot of flaws, boys. So don't count the Stars out. But
don't count any team out. I don't care what place they're in.
No, exactly. Any given Sunday. Yeah. So, all right, Rhett, we'll let you go. We got Dave Graff waiting in the wings there to do his segment for Chew on That. But thanks so much for coming on and talking about the Maroons, the Stars, and the Rockets. Appreciate it.
Halser, show up Friday night.
I'll be there.
Okay, good.
All right, Rhett Chessel from Rhett's Roundup. We'll hear from our sponsors from work, and we'll be right back with Dave Graff.
Chew on That with Graffer. Brought to you by Work Pub and Eatery. Get a taste of tradition and charm in our family-run pub. From hearty dishes to cold drinks, we've got everything to make your visit memorable. Located at 75 Wellington Street, Stratford.
Yes, guy. Graffer's in the house. How are you, brother?
How are you guys tonight?
Good.
Halls, you better make sure you're at that game Friday night.
Jeez, I missed one game, guys. I mean, I was spending time with somebody else, and I guarantee you she's a lot better looking than any of you guys.
There you go. Hey, I love the Mike Vrabel look tonight too. For the
Stratford. That was awesome.
That's a good look.
That's going to get a lot of views, I'm sure, on our socials. So
I'll do that a year from now when the Billies finally get there.
Right?
I won't have any Lombardis to put in the background, but anyway.
We'll have 4 in the back, but all with X's over them.
That's right.
Yeah. Wide right. Got my helmet.
Got my helmet.
The Music City Miracle.
Oh, jeez. Yeah, it goes on and
fourth
on.
Down, no video review. Or first down mark or whatever they call it now.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Well, Graffer, you've got a great topic to talk about. Where do you want to start with your segment?
Well, I want to get a little serious tonight and spin some positive at the end. We all know it was Bell Let's Talk month in January, and I think Bell Let's, the official day was January 21st, I believe, last week. Always been near and dear to me, probably to all of us on this. Anybody involved with sports, especially at a coaching and leadership level. Halser, you've coached ball for several years. Razor and Shanker, you've both coached. You see these kids. I saw, the group I had on there months ago that I coached all the way up. You see, whether you want to or not, you see the mental psyche of these kids at 10 years old or 18 years old, whatever. and a lot of times can sense and kind of wonder what they're going through and what's going through their head. And, and that's obviously for bigger reasons as well. That's part of the reason why Bell Let's Talk is what it is every January. And there's the Bell Let's Talk Day. And, I want to start off with a personal event that happened today with myself. Just a little background. For several months, a lady that works for me over at my place of employment in Elmira, she has a middle son, 30 years old, that has been dealing with this exact thing for years and years. He was a boxer growing up in Kitchener, some head trauma injuries, some different stuff, and I'm not a doctor, and I'm just making an assumption, and in talking with her, it does sound like similar stuff that hockey enforcers and some of the guys post-mortem that had the CTE damage, and it just sounds something along those lines. And I had several talks with her about it, and tried to talk to her as much as I could. I'm not a doctor, I don't pretend to be, or not a psychologist, don't pretend to be, but tried to talk to her and be there for her. She's a sweet older Iranian lady that's been in Canada for 20 years with her husband and 3 boys, and doesn't have a lot of answers herself, and is always looking. So I would be a sounding board for her as her boss kind of thing. And she called me this morning about 6:45 on my way in, and sounded very distraught, saying my name over and over. And I thought maybe she's in the ditch, got in a car accident or something. And she said, I lose my son. So she lost her son yesterday. And ironically, as it's Bell Let's Talk month and just finishing up the month of January, so it hit me pretty hard. I had to pull over on the road actually to take the call. And the first thing I did was make sure she had a lot of people with her, so she had the support. And, because I said, if you have no one there, I'm on my way. I have no idea where you live. I'll look up your address. I'll get there. Right. I said, you need people with you. Who's with you? And she did. She confirmed she had people. And long story short, I said, listen, I'm going to follow up with you in a couple of days. In the meantime, you need to call me if you need anything. Somebody from here will get you whatever you need. If it's not me, I'll have someone do it. But, so it's all about being there for the survivors in this case. But, and also just trying to lend the support and, whatever it is they need, what can we do for you? So that was kind of a real life example. And, we know like the Wade Belaks, and we can go through the list, right? The
John Cordix and
Rippy and Johnny Cordick, you can go through the list of and this is
Mike Peluso.
I think Mark Potvin.
Mark Potvin. Yeah.
I think this is a very similar situation that I've kind of lived here the last 3 or 4 months with this lady that works for me. And unfortunately, it went the way we didn't want it to go. And she'd tried to get him several help and treatments and stuff that he refused as well. So she was really fighting an uphill battle. So it's sad to see it end that way, but we got to carry on and support her as we can. And, the other part of it I wanted to look at, and I'm just going to stay on the top of the surface here, guys. And, we all know about hockey hazing, and whether we've been involved directly with junior hockey hazing, Razor at the junior B level, myself at the junior C and D level back in the years and years and years ago. I can't speak for you, Razor, but I never saw it in the light of some of the horror stories you do read. And I just want to touch on 3 examples here. And at the end, I think there's some good coming out of it. Doug Smith was a 2nd-round draft pick from the Ottawa 67s in 81, I believe, to the Kings. And years later, in his early 50s, was still saying he was traumatized and distraught by what he went through for hazing exercise rituals, whatever, back in his days in Ottawa. And, he founded a steel business and was fortunate enough financially wise to go on to be a motivational speaker and go around and speak about topics like this. And that's one example. Daniel Carcillo came out how many years ago and basically sued all
Stanley
3
Cup
leagues,
winner.
Sued the Canadian Hockey League. They threw it out of court in 24 because they called it an unmanageable basically case to manage, because there was the 3 leagues, 78 defendants, hundreds of third parties involved. And then Todd Tisdale's another old junior guy from Manitoba, that reiterated when there was 3 kids arrested there last year for this type of hazing thing. And, he had a nervous breakdown in his 20s, 5-6 years after he went through what he went through. those are just 3 examples, and there's hundreds out there. But the good coming out of it, guys, and the reason I bring it up now is it is Bell Let's Talk month, and I think the good that's come out of all of this is the Peterborough Petes, for example. I did some digging on them. They've had a guy on staff now for several years that's his job, is basically managing the players, managing their behavior and counseling them and, coaching them and developing their personal side of the game and their personal side of life, I guess, right? And I think more and more teams are doing that. I don't know that for sure. But, I just wanted to just make light of this for anybody out there that watches. Just, encourage kids to talk, encourage them to keep talking, keep a pulse on the kids and see what you can read and see if maybe you can offer help before some of these things get to be too late, right? And, just encourage them to talk and it's not wrong. It's not wrong to report somebody for something that's not appropriate, right? And it's easier for us to say now, guys, when we're this age, because we were those kids too when we were 18, 20 years old, right? But at the end of the day, if kids feel like that back at that age, we just got to keep encouraging them to talk about it and bring resolution to it. And maybe we get to a point where that type of contribution to Bell and mental health, to the Bell Let's Talk and mental health, that kind of contribution gets minimized. Some type of initiation needs to happen. It's fun. It really is great for team bonding if it's done.
It can be a really good morale booster for the team.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And I don't disagree with that. You still need to, I don't know if you want to call it whatever, hazing, initiation, whatever, rookie parties. You got to have them, dress them up in the girls' clothes or, do stuff that's appropriate. And because it is great for team bonding and great. And I'm not against that. I'm just saying, I just wanted to bring this up for anybody listening to let's keep talking about it and let's keep an eye on our kids for the well-being of our kids. So.
Yeah. I'm glad you brought it up because as a lot of people know, and I've said it on previous podcasts, that Bell Let's Talk, that's great. That's one day in January. And I just thought, with January being the unofficial mental wellness month, I just thought it would be great to have a conversation for the whole month of January. And so I really appreciate you bringing it up in your segment, because even though people aren't always forthcoming, you view that as a sign of weakness. You just have to believe. And, that's why I came up with Bernie Kosar and all of his troubles. And he came up with You Matter. And because everybody does matter. You may think that you're the only person that doesn't have their shit together, when in reality, we're all still trying to figure it out, right? We're all learning. And so there's no need. And I think it's Bell that dubs it, you don't need to suffer in silence. And people just need to realize that you're not alone. There are options. It's just great to start the conversation. And I've had people talk to me at junior B games thanking me for bringing that to light, because that's not a thing that where you go to a dinner party and when people ask how you're doing, you don't say, you know what, I'm not doing really well. I just, you always do the good, whether it's real or not, no one ever gets into their problems at a dinner party. Right. So,
Agreed.
It's good to do that, but, Halser, Schenker, what do you guys have to add to all of that?
It's such an important subject. And, it's an all-encompassing subject. You've touched on a couple of really important aspects of it, whether you have loss in the family or if you have damage to your brain and you're trying to live with that, or you had a hazing ritual that sat really ugly with you. But really the number of scenarios that require a test to your inner self are almost endless. I could think of my own kids' travels in football. He was a big recruit going into Western. He got cut from the team 2 years straight. His first 2 years in school, he got cut from the team. Everybody remembers his Vanier. Everybody remembers the All-Star year. But what they don't remember is when he was ready to walk away from it, he was low and low and low. After 2 years of chasing his dream, and he fell short again. And so that it took a lot to build him back up, and he had to his credit, he accepted the fact that this was hitting him hard, and he reached out to both his parents and talked about it.
Nice.
Fast forward 3 years to the Yates Cup 2016, where they're up 18 with 5 minutes to play. They're on national television, and they blew that lead on a last-second field goal from Laurier. And I learned so much that day about the psyche of a young man. Here's a young man who's 6'6" and almost 300 pounds, who is just a puddle. He's just had his heart ripped from his chest. And so we have to his credit, he talked to both his parents about that again, and we built him back up. And guess what? He won a national championship in 2017 because he got it out. He dealt with it. He processed it. And that's a word that not a lot of young people are using even to this enlightened day, is that you really have to process the grief that you deal with in your life properly. Otherwise it will dog you later on. And then, fast forward 2 more years, and Jim is now out of school, and he's no longer in the spotlight. He's no longer playing in front of the big crowds. He no longer has CFL scouts reaching out to him, and there's just a big empty void there. And that's another area that he had to deal with. And that's frankly, that's the one he struggled the most with, was how to replace that dopamine, if you will, with the thrill of going after a victory when your playing career is over. So, guys, anyone out there listening, don't think that only if you fit into the categories that we're talking about today, do you need help. If you are feeling overwhelmed, then that's the time to reach out, and everybody around you will listen, and make sure that you reach out if you're feeling it. That's really my message.
Yeah, that's well said, Halser. I totally agree with you and Graffer and what you guys just said. And I know they pushed January really hard for Bell Let's Talk, but I think every month is just important, and they should be doing that every month through the media, because everybody has their issues. They should spread January out throughout the whole year and just keep everybody safe and just keep pushing it, because I think it's stronger now than it's ever been.
Agreed.
Well put.
Yeah. And I like, 2 things, guys, 2 things of that feedback that I appreciate there is Hall's great real life example with your boy, and obviously very glad that he had the wherewithal to reach out. I mean, that's the big thing there. And Razor and Shanker, you both brought it up. It's not just January. It's not just January and January 21st. Yeah. You're right. It's all year long. And, we're talking about it because it is that month, but you're right. We need to get the word out there, and anybody watching this, keep this in your mind throughout the year. And then if something's not right, something seems off, reach out to that coach, reach out to that teacher, parent, friend's parent, whoever. If you don't have a parent you're comfortable, reach out to a friend's parent, or reach out to a coach. You don't like your coach, reach out to the trainer, or somebody, right?
DM us on our socials,
exactly.
Right? There's so many options.
Yes. Yeah, we're no professionals, but we sure as heck will listen.
Right.
Sure as heck won't ignore you. So I appreciate that, guys.
All right, Graffer. Well, I don't know if you can stomach watching the Patriots win another Super Bowl. So
I was gonna say, I don't know if I can. I'm all of a sudden the Sam Darnold fan, I think. Anyway.
They're not winning.
I think everybody other than a Patriots fan wants Sam Darnold to win.
Well, the one upside is that now that the Patriots in the Super Bowl, I think I'll go to that hockey game.
Yeah, exactly. I might be back in town for that.
Suddenly I'm free to watch the Lincolns and the Warriors.
Yes, that's right. With saying that though, guys, I'm going to be out next week. I'm gone for a week. So we'll see you in 2. And I'm going to do a good 1980 U.S. Olympic team thing leading into the Olympics. So
that'll be awesome.
We'll have a good show to talk about them and their just due. We all love the big upset 46 years ago.
Just to let people know, now with college football over, we're going to be talking about the Canadian Olympic team, the U.S. Olympic team, and then we're going to be getting into spring training with baseball. So we got a maneuver from college football and soon to be NFL ending, into baseball and hockey. So really looking forward to it. Thanks so much, Graffer.
Yeah.
We
Thanks,
appreciate you. Thanks
nice.
for bringing that up, and have a great trip. We look forward to seeing you when you get back, buddy.
Yeah. Thanks, guys. Talk soon. See you later. Thanks,
All
fellas.
right. Dave Graff from Chew on That. We'll be back with some words from our sponsors and final thoughts.
Railside Organics, Stratford's first and only Indigenous-owned and operated organic dispensary, located at 29 Monteith Avenue, serving those in need with holistic remedies. Come say hi to Curly and his staff and see why everyone is recommending Railside Organics. Call Bick Heating and Cooling for all your heating, cooling, and plumbing needs. Proud Rude Pro partner. BickHeatCool.com or 226-921-4848. Your home team specialists, taking care of Stratford and area since 2013. Vreda Veld Painting, servicing Stratford and surrounding area. With over 20 years of experience to help you with all your painting and decorating needs, on time and on budget.
Okay, it's time for final thoughts. Schenker, we'll start with you. What do you got on your mind, buddy?
I just want to do a little shout out to the Fort Erie Meteors. They're on a 10-game win streak, and they've won 18 games in a row. So anybody listening in the Fort Erie area, good job and keep up the good work. And I just want to give a little shout out to the NHL for canceling the Kings and Blue Jackets game and kind of screwing my fantasy week here after I picked up a King and a Blue Jacket today. So I only get 6 moves and I've wasted 2. So good job, NHL, for screwing me over today.
Alzer, what are your final thoughts?
Well, he doesn't need a lot of help with shout outs, but I'm going to give one to Connor McDavid anyways. Anytime you tie or break a Wayne Gretzky record, I think it's noteworthy. 5 points on, I think it was Saturday night against Washington, including the game winner in overtime.
Yeah.
Which gives him 10 straight seasons with 90 points, and only Wayne Gretzky has done that before. 10 straight 90-point seasons. Fun little fact on the numbers there. When I tell you that he's 20 points ahead of the second leading scorer on his team, that doesn't surprise you. But what does surprise you in that number is that it's Leon Draisaitl, and he's 5th in the league in scoring. So he's 5th in the league in scoring, and yet he's still 20 points behind the guy leading his own team. So it's a hell of a season from the best hockey player on the planet. And I think all of us north of the border are hoping that he stays hot and takes that game over to Italy on the little tiny ice rink and has himself a big old week and wins a gold medal.
Yeah, that's going to be exciting. They had him playing with Reinhardt during the Four Nations, but there's talk about the projected starting lineups of Marner, McDavid, and Macklin Celebrini. So,
well, they started him with Marner in the Four Nations, and then they separated him because Marner, he wasn't scoring with Marner.
Right.
So I don't know. Maybe Celebrini will make that line happen. That's a pretty scary line, man.
Yeah, the projected. Now these are just projections, but I was reading where they have Celebrini, McDavid, and Marner. Then you got Crosby, McKinnon, and Reinhardt, and then Marchand, Horvat, and Wilson. And then on the fourth line, you got Hagel, Suzuki, and Point. So, and that's not even with Cirelli and Stone in the lineup. So, my God, like the Team Canada is just loaded. But that's going to be so exciting to watch. I can't wait. All right. For Ian Schenk and Brian Hawley, I'm Gary Ray. Thanks for tuning in to episode 17 of the Unmuzzled Sports Podcast.